What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me, if you can hear me. Great to see everybody. Thank you, Martini, for the amazing introduction. Good to see you. We got Jerry, we got Teodora with the cool glasses. We got Simeon. Always good to have you here, Simeon. I can't do this without you anymore. Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate that. Joel's in the house. What's up, Shane? Rosa, Petya, Frederica. Put your hands up if you're already inside the London Real Academy. We got like 5, 6, 7 people here. I love it. Great to see you. Sarah, nice to see you. Omar. Aaron, Lynn Davis, looking serious, but I'm going to put a smile on that face. I promise, Lynn. I'm going to show you all the cash that's out there. Janie, nice to see you. And a few other people that don't have their cameras on. Look, I put a tie on, and it's a hot day here in London. And so I expect that camera on. So Susan and Ralph and Liz, I'm giving you about 60 seconds, and then I'm throwing you out. Folks, I want to talk tonight about some of the massive amounts of money that's being put into these AI companies, and how there's literally trillions to be made here. I've got a bunch of new information, new research, some new videos I want to play for you, but everything that we predicted was going to happen is now starting to happen. This company that got funded in France, I don't know if you heard about it, it's 4 weeks old, and they got written a check for $100 million. Raise your hand if you think that's pretty crazy. Is that crazy or what? And look, I was in the .com startup. I was there. For some reason, they hired a 27-year-old to be the CFO of their company, one of the biggest mistakes they ever made, because I really didn't know what I was doing. But I was right there on the front lines. I was in New York City. The company was called LuxuryFinder.com. We raised $15 million from some of the wealthiest people in New York City, and they had these big mansions on Long Island. And I saw one of the biggest bubbles ever go up and go back down. This is not like that. This does not feel like that. This feels very different. And I want to explain to you why. And I also want to show how McKinsey just came out with a study. Wait for it. They said that artificial intelligence is going to add $4.4 trillion to the economy per year going forward. And that's why this technology is different from the .com. Because in the .com, we had to wait for the Walmarts to adopt it. We had to wait for the food companies to adopt it. We had to wait for the average consumer to adopt it. With AI, it can be used across every single technology, across every single industry right now. Does that kind of concept make sense to everybody here? It's already changed my business significantly. Has anybody else involved it into your business or your lifestyle right now? AI to write copy, ChatGPT, anything, images? Okay, a few hands going up. It's already changing our workflow to a significant amount, significant. So I want to show you what's happening. I want to show you a bunch of figures. I want to show you some opportunities. Also, strangely enough, Martini, we saw a company, I think last Thursday in the investment club. It's a brand new AI deal. So we're already writing $1 million check into what we think is our big AI play, the one we think will be a multi-trillion-dollar company. But we've also just seen a smaller niche level AI company that looks really hot. And again, it's a smaller play with more upside. It's it's a cheaper investment to make for a company that already has deals with Meta, with NVIDIA, with some of the big players. And that just stumbled into our group as well. And I think we're probably going to write them a smaller check, but that could actually end up making even more money. So we're seeing some really interesting deals. I'll be honest, folks, right now, we're still in the driver's seat for deal flow, and we will be probably for another 30 to 60 days, while the rest of the market is still reeling from a really difficult last year and some uncertainty about the economy. So it puts us in the driver's position to make that generational wealth right now. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Sound good for everybody here? All right, let's rock and roll. I cooked this presentation up, and I just can't wait to share. I love doing these because, like, every one of these, I get smarter as well. So I love making these for all of you. So here we go. Can everybody see my AI image? Martine, we need some new AI images of me, right? This one's a little bit dark. And you can see the headline. And these are the 3 gentlemen where it happened. It's a 4-week-old AI company, raises 100 million. I think it was like $104 million. There's 105 million euros in a big European push. It values the company at about $250 million. And it really is announcing to the world that AI startups are here, because this is a big deal. It's one thing when Microsoft writes OpenAI a $10 billion check, okay? That's big, don't get me wrong. It's another thing when Google decides to put another $5 to $20 billion into their Google AI bubble. But when you see people putting money into a company with no product history, with no history whatsoever, it's showing you that everyone understands this is the next level. And this is the only thing keeping technology alive. Nothing else in tech is hot, but AI is red hot, and it's changing everything. I want to show you how tonight. So stay plugged in, buckle up, because this is going to go super fast. Again, this is hot. This just came out. You can see on the bottom, this is a June 2023 report by McKinsey & Company. Have we heard of McKinsey & Company? Raise your hand if you heard of McKinsey. They're one of these management consultancy companies that employs people like me. When I graduated college, a bunch of my fellow MIT grads went into management consultants. They basically charge companies a lot of money to tell them what to do, right? And again, they work for governments, and they make a ton of money worldwide. And they've just come out with this report that talked about the economic potential of generative AI. And it's really important because this is June 23, so this is up to date. This changes so fast that even a report from March is way off at this point. And it's calling it the next productivity frontier. Let's go deeper. Look at this. This is fascinating. And I put the text on the right from what is actually in there in the middle. And it says this: generative AI could add the equivalent of 2.6 trillion to 4.4 trillion annually. By comparison, the entire GDP in the Britain here, in the United Kingdom in 2021 was only 3 trillion, right? That's how big this is. Enough for an entire country, one of the largest in the world, right? A G7 country is now going to be bigger than that on a per annum basis. But there's more. This estimate would roughly double if we include the impact of embedding generative AI into software. And this is the thing that no one understands. There's a compounding effect that goes on here. So you go ahead and put the generative AI, and then the AI builds upon the AI. And that's what's very hard to predict here. And that means this growth can go exponential or sometimes even vertical. Is that making a little bit more sense to everybody here, right? Now, I've got a diagram later in the presentation that I've kind of been using as a rough line of where AI is going. And that diagram estimated the market being 2 trillion by 2030. That's 7 years from now, 2 trillion. Now this market report is saying potentially 4 trillion a year. This is powerful, all right? And again, you can look at this graph and you can see there's so many different incremental pieces here. But again, they're estimating this potentially 4.4 trillion per year. But if you look at everything combined, they're looking at a potential $25 trillion impact. These numbers are really hard to conceive of. These are big, big, big numbers. The entire value of a Google or an Apple is like $1.5 trillion, right? Of an entire technology company that's indispensable to the world. And you see these kinds of an impact where it's like 3 Googles a year is what this is developing. This is unheard of when it comes to economic growth and development. And it's why this deal you just saw, it's probably going to be nothing compared to what we're going to see by the end of the year. We're going to see a massive amount of capital going into these companies. It's going to generate even more capital efficiency, even more productivity. And hopefully we're all going to gain, and hopefully we can all keep our jobs in the process. All right. Is everybody with me here so far? All right. But look, it's not just this report. It's happening everywhere. Synthesia here, right here in the UK, raised $90 million to BAM, hit unicorn status here in AI. So again, another $1 billion AI company just pops up last week. This company has 50,000 clients. Has anybody played with this? They make these AI like people, and they're pretty realistic, right? And they talk and they do demos and they do product demonstrations, and you can like have anybody you want. You can have like older people, younger people, male, people from all different countries, and they're pretty good. They're good enough that they work for product demonstrations or any type of stuff where you would need a human to do it. And it works in real time like that. So this company, not only does it have a valuation of $1 billion, but it's got 50,000 customers, including big corporate customers like Google and Amazon and some of the top brands. Again, this seems like a big deal now. You're going to see one of these a day, I predict, by the end of the year. And what else have we seen? Accenture, which is another one of the top big management consulting companies, just like McKinsey, is going to invest $3 billion in AI. So, I mean, these are huge numbers. And companies like this don't just do this on a whim. And let's also keep in mind that 6 months ago, Accenture couldn't spell AI, right? This was the last thing that was on its mind. Again, AI was really considered a place where all the weirdos were at, right? It was considered where all the kind of people that were dreamers, but no one ever really thought it was going to be practical in this decade or maybe even this century. That's all changing now. So you need to know how to invest in this space. You need to know what to buy, because now is a time unlike any other time in history when you can take advantage of what's going on. While this is happening, we also have other things happening, and that is the downside. And this stuff is just as real, folks. So again, this is a headline that was in the Daily Mile. AI could wipe out humanity. This is still a reality. I've got Mo Gaudet in my studio next week, former Google ex-chief business development officer. He quit Google when he saw what the AI was doing. It scared the hell out of him. He wrote a book called Scary Smart about AI. Now he's been on all the hottest shows around. He was on our show a few weeks ago. He's been on Piers Morgan. He's been on news. He's been racking up millions of views because he believes to a certain extent it's too late. And that what we can do is be nice to the AI is kind of like what we're going to do. I'm simplifying what Mo says, but he's going to be on because we have to be aware of this. And to be honest, you're not going to get one thing, which is a vertical adoption curve, without some danger. Does that make sense to everybody? There's always going to be some danger with some upside. What else are we seeing? Obviously, Eric Schmidt, former Google boss, and Google is one of the biggest companies in AI now, is saying that AI has the power to kill many people. He actually didn't say many people. He said many, 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 many people harmed or killed. All right, this is a reality. We've got to keep our eyes on this without getting depressed or unfocused. Again, this is in The Guardian, one of the UK's biggest publications. OpenAI, probably the hottest AI company right now. Their leaders are calling for regulation to prevent AI destroying humanity. So this is important. They want something similar to an atomic watchdog to look at this stuff. And of course, now the most dangerous thing, in my opinion, is the AI wars. And this is unfolding as we speak. Google Bard versus OpenAI's ChatGPT. They're now fighting each other, and it's a race to the bottom to a certain extent. How many people here have played with Google Bard? Anybody here played around with Google Bard? Okay, it's Google, it's bard.google.com if anybody wants to play with it. And I highly recommend you do it. It's connected to the live internet, okay? One of the big no-nos in AI development, everybody knew over the last 20 years was you never connect it to the live internet, right? The other one is you don't teach it how to code. And the third one is you don't teach it about human emotions. Everybody with me here? The three no's. And we've broken every single one of them, right? In a race to zero. And so that's what's happening right now. We just got to be aware of it. It's a slightly dangerous time as we connect all these things to the live internet. We connect them to humans. Again, I'm going to play a little video tonight, but like we've already seen cases where an AI convinced some guy to kill himself. He convinced a New York Times reporter to leave his wife. You know, it already is starting to understand how to push our buttons, let alone, you know, being able to connect to power stations, data centers, you know, nuclear plants, launch vehicles. You know, don't get me too started. All right, go watch Terminator 2 if you want to see how this turns out. All right, this is Mo Gaudet. He'll be back in the studio live on Wednesday at 5 p.m. UK time. I highly recommend you tune in. Mo's a great friend. He was originally on the show about 4 or 5 years ago, and he says Google is creating God. Right? How many people want Google to create God? Raise your hand. Yeah, no, that's probably not what we want Google doing, right? Google used to have a phrase inside the company that said, don't be evil. Don't be evil, right? That was a reminder to itself not to be evil because it could. And then they erased that and they stopped talking about that, right? So the tendency of any big corporation is to do bad things for profit. We know that. And so this is potentially dangerous about Google creating God. Mo's going to be here. I got a video, but I'm going to save the video. But he's got a great way of looking at things. And actually, I'm going to play the video because Mo has a great way of looking at things. So let me play you a little bit of a snapshot of what Mo think is going to happen for AI going forward. Mo will be back, but to a certain extent, Mo believes that, well, I'll let Mo do the talking. This is what he believes.
AI has already happened. The genie is already out of the bottle. We truly are creating a form of life. There is so much we don't know that it could be the best thing that ever happened to humanity, and it could be the worst. Our conviction of the control problem is not a technical issue. It's an arrogance issue. It's human arrogance to believe that I can continue to control something that is a billion times smarter than I am. Einstein's intelligence compared to a fly. And the question is, what would make Einstein care for the fly? Why wouldn't Einstein squish the fly? Your fate and my fate is no longer in our hands. Don't attempt to control them. They are a form of a living being. Attempt to appeal to their value system. The moment of singularity is a moment where the smartest being on planet Earth is no longer a human.
Why should I plan my life past 2025? Because the world's going to change.
Oh, great question. When the complexity of the systems invented by a civilization exceeds the intelligence of the citizens living within it, the system has to reset. The idea of our future is held within this moment of infancy of AI today. They will use us as their role models.
This is the only thing we can do in your mind, is to start being nicer.
AI will grow up to be like you and me. It's simple as that. And the only way we can contain them is by being good parents. And I'm not asking anyone to change. I'm only asking people to find it within them, what they truly are. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Treat the machines as you would like to be treated. If we want a good future, please be good parents.
What do you think of Mo? Raise your hand if you think he might be onto something here, right? Okay, good. We like him. Hillary's feeling Mo. Okay, good. Look, he said it's a form of life. I always take notes when I watch these things again. It's a form of life. How many people believe it's a form of life? AI is a form of life. Not too many hands here. Okay, some. If your hand's not up, I think you're missing the point here. It is a form of life. It's not carbon-based like our brain, but it's silicon-based. But what if it has the same number of neurons as us? Don't be so egotistical that you can say it's never going to be like us. Because in a long enough timeline, it can be us or better than us. If you don't believe it is now, but will it be in 10 years? Will it be in 100 years? How many people believe it will be a form of life in 100 years? Raise your hand. 100 years. Look at what we created in 20 years, right? From a transistor to a mobile phone. So if it's possible, if it's just a long enough timeline, it could happen sooner. And that 100 years might take 100 days if AI is able to improve itself. Does that make sense here, right? We're not understanding that. We've never built something that can improve itself. We've built dangerous things like nuclear weapons. A nuclear missile can't make itself a better nuclear missile. Okay, is that clear? You need a human to do that. An AI can make itself a better AI. The AIs are now training on AIs. And there's a whole lot of other stuff when it comes to open source, I'll show you as well. The other thing Mo said is that, the equivalent of where these computers are going in intelligence is going to be 1 million times smarter than us. That's the difference between Einstein and a fly. Does Einstein care about a fly, or does he just squish the fly? Does he not even know he squished the fly, right? And that could be potentially what we're talking about here. So again, it's just good to be aware of what's happening. The reason I trust Mo is because he was literally responsible for training artificial intelligence machines and computers that did physical things at Google X on the front line. He's seen it. He's been there. He's done it. And he left 5 years ago because he was terrified, right? That says a lot to me. He's not just jumping on the bandwagon because it's cool to talk about AI. He wrote a book 2 years ago. He quit his job 5 years ago. So that gives him a lot of credibility in my book. Good? Okay, good. Let's keep this moving because I got some other things I really want to share with you tonight. So boom, that's Mo. Gives us a little bit of a perspective as far as what's going on there. So as far as today, I want to talk about, why artificial investing is hot right now. We're seeing the valuations, we're seeing the deals, we're seeing the companies, we're seeing the business models. It's pretty scary. I want to show you how open source AI is going to win. This is something I haven't talked much about, but it's such a crucial, important part of what we're doing and how we're investing inside London Real Ventures. And I want to show you how to profit from AI investing now. That's what today's all about. Stay with me. I'm going to go fast, but I'm going to show you real advice that you can use to practically invest in this sake. Again, to reiterate, this isn't something we talk about. I don't sit around and hypothesize about. We are putting over $3 million to work in investments this quarter into 3 metaverse/AI deals. All right. We are literally cutting the checks and putting our money where our mouth is. I think this is a big deal because there's not many people out there that are talking about it and writing checks. There's a lot of professors out there that aren't writing checks. There's some people that just write checks and don't talk to the experts. We do it all. And so, in my opinion, it gives us the credibility that other people don't have. This is London Real Ventures. This is something we created 2 years ago to invest in some of the incredible opportunities we were seeing. London Real Ventures is the world's first media-powered investment firm. I cannot overstate how powerful this is. This is the reason we are seeing what's known as tier one deal flow in the industry. We are seeing the hottest deals on the planet, usually reserved for funds that are $5-10 billion funds. But those funds can't put the CEO. Can you all see the CEO's pictures here? All of those CEOs have been on my show. We put them on the show. They articulate their vision, their products, their mission statement to the world. And I, over a course of 2.5 hours, create this incredible piece of media that potentially raises them billions of dollars, that can hire them the best talent in the world, that could onboard the next 1 million customers for their platform. And honestly, right now, people are salivating for this opportunity, even more than the capital. The thing is, we give both. We're not just a media platform. We actually write the check as well. And this is the reason we're seeing the deals that I can actually offer to you. This is our portfolio so far. This will be doubled probably in the next 60 days. It'll double again probably in the next 100 days. And it could even double again before year end. And this is what we're seeing. And this is what's honestly probably one of the most exciting things we're doing right now. So I get to talk to the experts. We get to have the CEOs. And then I also get to make the investments. And we all do this as a community. So that's what we're doing here. And that's why we can speak on this, I think, with some real credibility. So let's jump in. Oh, by the way, these are some of the companies we've already invested in that are in the metaverse and are using AI to build their metaverses and empower their companies. This is Orange Comet, an incredible company. This is Vadim. This is Eric Poulier, who was in my studio about 10, 12 days ago. We're going to drop his interview on Wednesday. This is Open, which is our hottest new Web3 super app for artists and creators. It's like WhatsApp meets Amazon. It's incredibly exciting. We're closing this now. And of course, our OpenAI killer, which is closing very, very soon this week. On top of that, we actually have another AI deal, which I haven't even had time to put in here yet. And that's actually, I think, Martini, that's being demoed tonight on our IC Mastermind, right? Yeah. So if you're in the investment club at 7:15 tonight, the CEO is coming back on to give a demo of this new AI company. And again, the valuation we're going to get on that is thick. And so we're getting just these extremely cheap buys on this. I can't believe it, quite frankly, based on their partnerships. But we're in a very specific situation right now where, at least for the next couple of months, we get to determine the deal terms because we have the capital, the platform, et cetera. We won't be able to do those kind of deals, I don't think, even by the end of the year. So that's happening right now. And again, this all goes back to our thesis here, which is the greatest way to predict the future is to create it. How many people agree with that? Just hands up if you do. This is so important, right? There's so many people panicked and scared, and they want to put their heads in the ground. They want to halt AI. They want to protest governments. That's not the way to look at it. We're going to create the future by investing and promoting these companies. We're going to put them in the leather chair. We're going to write them $1 million check. We're going to connect them to our customers. I'm going to introduce them to the billions of dollars under management that we know. We're going to promote them all around the globe, get them the best employees. And that's how we're going to create our future. We're not going to hope. We're not going to pray. We're not going to be victims. So that's what we're doing here. And this aligns with our mission statement in London Real, which is to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. And that's the same as our investment thesis. These companies create fully empowered humans. They create conscious humans. They create cooperative humans. And that's why we invest in them. So everything we do here is congruent and aligned, and we like that. And of course, I also got personal reasons. These two bandits that I got to look after, always giving me a run for my money. And so now Caden in the middle has his YouTube channel, uploaded a Roblox video yesterday. Thank you very much. And Damon on the right doesn't want a YouTube channel yet, which I kind of respect. And so these guys are the future, and I really need to look out for them. And I think we all need to look out for our children because these guys are 7 and 6 years old, and they're going to be teenagers soon. And I don't know what this world's going to look like. I really am concerned. And I want to make sure that I create a future that they can live in and they can prosper in. And so that's why I'm here, folks. So let's keep going here. This is the big deal, okay? So we've seen the news. 4-week-old AI startup raises a record 105 million euros in the European push. Again, the deals are happening now. So if you didn't think this was going to happen, now you know it is going to happen. If you are not involved in investing in AI in the next 30 to 60 days, you're going to miss things. And you don't want to do that, because this is the greatest wealth creation event in the history of the world in your lifetime, and it's going to be gone by next year. It just is. All the good stuff is going to get grabbed up, and AI moves so fast and grows so exponentially. You're not going to be able to slowly, casually come in 2025 and say, okay, now I'm ready. Now I've got some money. What do I invest in? It's going to be too late. Again, TechCrunch is talking about this valuation as well. So it's hitting all of the publications, but it's not just them. Salesforce right now, one of the biggest companies when it comes to empowering Fortune 500 companies, giving them enterprise solutions, has just unveiled their AI cloud offering, right? And it's doubled its own fund for AI startups, okay? Raise your hand if you see what's happening, right? If there's this much capital going into the market, right, what's going to happen to this market? It's going to explode in valuations. And again, Salesforce, it's not a venture capital company, right? This is what's important to look at here, right? Salesforce, it's a digital services company, right? It gives people CRMs in order to empower companies to sell more products. But why are they investing in AI startups? Because even they know this is how they're going to make the big money in the next few years. This, again, should be another big red light flashing, pushing you to get involved in this in some way, shape, or form. At least it is for me. And again, more. China's ByteDance, which is involved in all sorts of fascinating startups in China, has gobbled up $1 billion of NVIDIA's GPUs. Meanwhile, NVIDIA just broke $1 trillion of valuation. It's the chip company that's empowering all of these. And again, just more and more signs that this is all going one way. All right. This is not going to ease off. It's going that way because AI is going to change every aspect of our life, every single aspect of our life. Because AI is basically just software. That's all it is. It's software. It's software taken to the next level. It's going to improve the way we manufacture food. It's going to improve the way we manufacture goods. It's going to improve the travel industry, the healthcare industry, the banking industry. Does everyone see where I'm going with this, right? Right? You saw the stats earlier, 4 trillion a year. This is massive. It's just massive. And it's going to compound on itself. So again, you just really need to be involved with this now. Again, I don't want to gloss over the downside. Goldman Sachs is predicting that 300 million full-time jobs are at risk, and even saying that roughly 2/3 of current jobs are exposed to some degree to AI automation. This is real. I would argue right now that 25% of your job can be done better by AI. How many people agree with me? Potentially. Come on, if you knew how to prompt it, the AI could do 25% of your job better than you, right? And again, white collar workers are the most in danger. You have a college degree, congratulations. Your job is now more at risk than if you didn't. Nobody saw this coming, but this is real. Again, the safety. OpenAI's former top safety researcher saying there's a 10-20% chance that's going to mean that most humans are dead. All right. And I'm just honest with this because it's real. And I'm talking with all the AI experts, and this is what they're telling me. The godfather of AI, another Google employee, right? Lots of Google employees are talking because they know what's going on, right? Google Brain was former DeepMind here in the UK, some of the smartest people out there. So he left. And of course, Max Tegmark. This is the president of the Future of Life Institute. Max wrote the letter that he sent to all the AI companies that said, we need a pause, right? It's the one that Elon basically told him to write because he funded the president of the Future of Life Institute. Elon said they knew they wouldn't stop, but they had to do it just to say that we did it, all right? You can watch this video. I'm not going to play it because I want to get to some other stuff. Again, we know what's going on out there. The master plan of Microsoft, Satya has one plan: to destroy Google. So meanwhile, these tech companies are fighting it out, right, for supremacy. And if they don't, they're going to die. Trust me, $1 trillion doesn't want to go to zero. And if Satya doesn't do it, they're going to fire him and hire someone else. So we're in a dangerous situation. And again, we all know that Google reportedly overruled the risk assessment to launch Bard AI. There was a code red in September 2022. Everybody knows you don't connect it to the live internet, but Google was about to die. Seriously, Bard looked like it was going to die even 3 weeks ago. And they said, guess what? F it, connected to the internet. We're desperate or we're dead. This is what's going to cause a real problem because these companies are racing to the bottom. Is that clear to everybody here? Right? This is another reason why we have to open source this movement, folks. We cannot leave it up to these folks or they're gonna ruin this. They're gonna unleash something sooner than later. It could be this year that's gonna start like destroying things out there. And it's gonna get ugly quickly, I believe. Because Google just did this. Okay, now what's Microsoft gonna do next? What's Meta gonna do? They're all gonna try to one-up each other, right? And set out something that's even more dangerous to the marketplace. And of course, we know Google boss Sundar Pichai, AI dangers keep him up at night. And I appreciate that. And again, Mo has told me he's an amazing guy. He means really well. But guess what? If he doesn't do the job, they're going to fire him and get somebody that does do the job. So you could be the most ethical person in the world, but you're going to race to the bottom because that's what the corporate structure demands you do. Again, the White House is also all the big tech bosses. They have a moral duty to safeguard society, but that's not going to work. And again, we talk about shutting AI, that's impossible. And again, the People's Republic of China will not shut down AI. And they've openly said in a publication in 2017, they want to use AI to suppress the population. They're not hiding it. They've openly said that they want to do that. So this is a real race and we've got to make it happen now. I want to play a trailer from Dr. Hugo de Garis. By the way, my conversation with Dr. Hugo de Garis, it's going absolutely viral. I never thought this was going to go crazy. But like the episode is building. About to break 200,000 views, all right? He's going to be back on the show in October. This guy never thought he would see this battle. He said, Brian, I thought I was going to die peacefully in my bed, and this was going to be my children and grandchildren's problem. And he said, until I saw ChatGPT, now it's my problem. And he asks this question, do we create our exterminators? And I need to play this video because you have to just see what's on the line here. And so again, if profiting and making a massive amount of money and creating generational wealth isn't a motivation for you to get into this, that's fine. What if the motivation is to save the world? Well, this is what Hugo thinks.
Do we build gods or do we build our potential exterminators? I mean, I used to say, I'm going to die quietly in my bed, but my grandchildren will be caught up in this horrible conflict that I'm predicting is coming. But now I'm suddenly have question marks. God, I might even see it.
You say that the machines might just take us out in the back and...
Once it can start redesigning itself, you get an exponential explosion of intelligence. And then our fate as human beings depends on the machine. It's only a question of time before humanity is forced to choose between stopping development in artificial intelligence. I don't see that as realistic. Or we just accept the idea that sooner or later, we, as a human species, we become number two. The answer to that is, as I'm predicting, war.
Do you think China is behind the West right now for AI?
The potential of the Chinese is phenomenal. The Chinese, they've been the dominant power for not just centuries, but for millennia. The last 2 centuries or so, when they're economically dipped, that for them, given their 5,000-year history, is a glitch. It's a historical glitch. So deep down in the Chinese mentality is the push to get back, quote, where we belong.
So can you really isolate and stop the development of AI?
Personally, I feel it's inevitable. Do we build gods or do we build our potential exterminators? That's the issue. Should humanity build artilects?
What do you think of Hugo? You like him? You appreciate his point of view? Man, seriously, he's straight out of Central Casting. Am I wrong, Martini? Come on, like seriously. This guy's straight out of a movie. If anybody saw the movie War Games, anybody see that old movie War Games with Matthew Broderick, right? He's like the professor on the island, right? He's like humanity's messed up. I'm on an island. You're all going to kill each other. But look, he's very smart, and I like what he brings up about China. And again, like I'm super inclusive in this world, but I just look at the government published this report. I actually read it today from 2017, and they specifically said they want to use AI to monitor and control the population. Like they specifically said. I also read another memo recently. I haven't actually told anybody this, but the EU just came with some restrictions it wants to put on AI. And it said, we don't want AI to use, well, it talked about face recognition. Everyone knows that there's facial recognition out there, right? Pretty standard, right? Facial recognition everywhere, whether it's good or not, it's one thing. And the EU in their AI bill was like, we're going to allow facial recognition, but we won't allow emotional recognition. Did everybody know out there right now that computers can do emotional recognition on you right now? I didn't know that, right? Right? Okay, someone's putting their thumb down. Kevin is, right? Like, have you thought about that? It's one thing to know who you are, but imagine if it can completely recognize emotions of everybody on the street, of everybody in the world, of you while you're watching your TikTok videos. It constantly is tracking the emotional state of all humans in an area, right? Now imagine that the AI wants to play a little game. Let's see if we can change the emotions of everybody in the area. What if we do this? What if we put a lousy headline on a billboard? What if there's a car accident? What if there's screams? What if there's a metaverse that does this? Can we change the emotions of an entire city? Can we drop it by 5%? Can we increase it by 10%? What does it get people to do? Right? Does everyone start to see where this goes? It gets a little dark and a little crazy, right? So again, this is all kind of on my mind while I'm evaluating all these things and just things to think about. So we appreciate people like Hugo, just to keep us straight. This is what I really want you to focus on, okay? If you take one thing away, take this away, because this is something no one's talking about, but we're talking about it, and we're investing based on this memo that was leaked by Google, all right? This memo was leaked, I think, 2 months ago. It was talked about at the time and then quickly not talked about. But Google admitted that we have no moat. Raise your hands if you know what that means. We have no moat, right? Sounds like something we'd say here in England a couple hundred years ago, some king would say, we have no moat, right? Build me a moat. Now, look, what do you want a moat for? Well, let's go back. There's castles in England that have moats. Dan Pena doesn't have a moat, but like some of the castles have a moat. What does a moat do? It protects you from invaders by putting a buffer zone between you and the invader. Is that clear for everybody here, right? A moat. It's called also known as a barrier to entry. So Google, right? It's a trillion and a half dollar company. They've got 10, 20 years of some of the best AI research in the world. You would expect them to have a moat or have a little bit of a barrier to entry, or they would be ahead of anybody trying to get into AI. Is that correct? Come on, thumbs up if you think that would be true. Just like Microsoft owns, a chunk of or most of OpenAI, you would think they would be ahead. But guess what? It turns out that they're not ahead. And this is the big takeaway. This is how I think we're going to make a ton of money inside the London Real Ventures, and I'll explain to you why. So this is what a Google employee said on a leaked memo, and it's a detailed memo. I read the whole thing today. And he said, look, we've done a lot of looking over our shoulders at OpenAI. Okay, this is the war, Google versus ChatGPT, Barbara ChatGPT. Who will hit the next milestone? What will their next move will be? But the uncomfortable truth is this, you can read it. We aren't positioned to win this arms race. And neither is OpenAI. I'm telling you, this is the memo, everyone. So they just admitted $1 trillion company versus $1 trillion company. In technology, usually one of them easily wins, right? Look at search. Look at mobile phones. Look at shipping. Look at Google. Look at YouTube. One of them always wins. Open source, small companies have zero chance when it comes to those things, right? Who's going to build an iPhone? Who's going to compete with Amazon? Does anybody know anybody here? No, nobody. Who's going to create a social network? Nobody. And so now these companies that you would think AI, they would be on the cutting edge. Who's going to compete with them on AI? It takes billions of dollars and all these GPUs and all these nodes. Wrong, right? While we've been squabbling, quotes, a third faction has been quietly eating our lunch. That's a Wall Street term for they're taking your business away from you right in front of your face. And he said, I'm talking about open source. They're lapping us. That's like someone running around a track and lapping you. They're smoking you is what we would say, okay? Things they consider major and open problems are solved in people's hands today. Wait, it gets more, Look at this. Meta's Lambda model was leaked to the public, Llama model, right? So Meta's basically large language model was leaked to the public, and then the weightings were leaked to the public, right? Everyone was like, what's gonna happen? What happened? Innovation followed. I looked at the memo, almost every 2 or 3 days, a major innovation that Facebook itself or Google couldn't have even done was being done by the public. Raise your hand if you think this is incredible, by the way, right? This is the beauty of the hive mind, right? You think if you hold it inside a company with 10,000 of the smartest AIs, we can do it. No, you put it out and just let anybody start playing games with it in their spare time, and you get innovations at like an exponential rate. So good. And it said days between major developments. Many of the new ideas are coming from ordinary people. This is crazy, right? Plumbers with a laptop, right? Kids in college, high school students are playing with the model, coming up with these solutions that the Google people never could. The barrier to entry training has dropped from one person in the evening, and a beefy laptop can now do everything that we thought a supercomputer would. Folks, this is the future here. And this opens up opportunities of investments to all of us. Before this, we would have had no chance to invest in AI because you would have had to own Google or Amazon or whatever, and you could have never bought the AI exposure. This is huge. And again, you go back to a quick graph, this should tell you everything. Open source has historically surpassed closed source. And if you look at this graph at the bottom, you've got Stable Diffusion, which is an open source image generator for AI. And you've got DALL-E, which is the ChatGPT OpenAI version. You can see on August 24th of last year, Stable Diffusion open source crossed and started beating out DALL-E, and it's continued to just go way ahead of it. So it goes to show you that a bunch of people with laptops out there are now innovating faster than trillion-dollar tech companies. And that's where the opportunity is. Raise your hand if that makes sense to you here, right? Okay. We saw this with blockchain and crypto, right? We saw this with crypto. Banks could have had this technology for a long time, but they were too scared to implement it, or too much politics, or they didn't want to cannibalize their own product. But once the public got, you had innovation. That's what we're going to be investing in. And so I went back to MIT recently last year. I dropped by Boston to take my daughter to schools, and I stopped by the MIT Sloan School of Management. All my professors said, Brian, the productivity boom is coming. I stopped by my fraternity house where 50 young men are about to enter the workforce. I said, where are you going to work? You going to Wall Street where I went? You going to work for Anderson or for McKinsey? They said, no, Brian, we're going into AI startups, maybe blockchain and metaverse that are using AI. That's the hottest jobs of the smartest kids in the world. All right. And again, this was my old graph. I'm going to destroy it as of tonight. And anybody who watched my presentation even a month ago, I said, this is going to be outdated soon. And it is. This was expecting a $2 trillion market in 7 years. Now we're hearing it's going to be a $4 trillion per year increase in this market. Again, we've never seen anything like this. You have to be a part of this. And yeah, I got a kick to the fact that one of my MIT fraternity brothers is now the senator of California, and he was grilling Sam Altman on this process. So it looks like all my MIT grads are now involved in AI in some way, shape, or form. Even if you're a senator, you can get involved. And so this is all happening. Luckily, we have Dr. Ben Goertzel, who's become a good friend of mine. He's the CEO and chief scientist of SingularityNet. He was in my studio 4 years ago talking about AI, and quite frankly, I didn't pay attention to him. I mean, I did, but I didn't. His episode did well, got 1 million views, but no one really cared until January. ChatGPT, his token went up 10x. His company got worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars more. And I had him back to tell us what was going to happen with AI. And I want you to listen to Ben, because I believe Ben is the guy that's going to create the AI future that we want. And Ben has a unique vision of what this is going to be. And this is what Ben thinks is going to happen.
We are leaping into the great unknown, creating machines that are much smarter than us. This is either exciting or frightening or both, depending on your personality.
Will AI exterminate humanity?
Eliezer Yudkowsky, a decade or two ago, he said, the AI does not love you. The AI does not hate you, but it can use your atoms for something else. Actually, my view tends to be that AI is the greatest hope we have to save humanity from exterminating itself.
I don't think anyone in the world understands how this will be the most transformational time in human history.
I have a 5-year-old son, a 1-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. By the time they're turned 18, the whole texture of human life and the nature of the world they grow up into is going to be incredibly different from the world that we see now. Like, they're never going to have to get jobs. On the whole, I'm an optimist. I have a spiritual or intuitive feeling that things are going to come out awesomely in the next 10 years. We're going to overcome material scarcity. We're going to create machines that can feed into our brains via brain-computer interfacing and help uplift human consciousness. And we're going to port into virtual worlds and achieve like states of intelligence and awareness going way beyond anything we can imagine now. So that's what the Captain Kirk in my head thinks. We're on the verge of engineered utopia. It's incredible. It's a remarkably weird and fortuitous thing to be living at such a time.
All right, what do we think of Dr. Ben Goertzel? We feeling Ben, right? Is this the guy we want to put our bets on? Yeah, I think so, right? He's got a great vision. He's aware of the downside, but he's super optimistic. He's an OG in this field. He's been studying AI for like 30, 35 years. He coined the term AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which means human intelligence. All the top AI scientists respect him. Some of the best ones actually work for him. And what he's done with SingularityNet is very, very impressive. But this story gets more interesting. So after this conversation in January, I called up Ben. I said, Ben, I need to have a chat with you. And I said, look, we're doing big things at London Real Ventures. We're writing $1 million checks. I would love for you to be our AI advisor and tell me about the deals you're seeing that are coming down the line that we could empower with London Real, our media channel. But they have to align with our mission statement. And he said, okay, Brian, he said, let me come back to you. He called me up 2 weeks later and he said, I want you to meet our COO because we've got something I want you to be involved in. All right. And he introduced me to this incredible woman. This is Janet Adams. She's the COO, Chief Operating Officer of SingularityNet. She's been there for 4 or 5 years. Before that, she was in banking for 15 years. She is an incredible person with great understanding of what it takes to run a team, but she's also tough as nails and can run a great company. And Ben said, Brian, we are creating the OpenAI killer, which is called Zarka. We believe we've already won this battle. And you know, I love Sun Tzu from The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. They believe they've already won because they believe OpenAI is focusing on something small, narrow AI, right? It's just predicting the next word. It's a parlor trick. What they want to do at Zarka is create literally human level intelligence, something that can reason. And so I had Janet on my show. I met her at one of the events here in London. And as soon as I met her, I said, Janet, you got to come in and talk to us because this is so important. And I had her on the show and we talked all about what Zarka was. And needless to say, I was massively impressed. And we decided then and there that we wanted to be a part of the journey. And so this is Janet Adams talking about Zarka.
Artificial general intelligence is completely different to narrow AI. AGI is more purpose-driven. It's a watershed moment for humanity.
Tell me about Zarka. This is the project that will create the AGI. And it's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model at massive scale. What is it?
Zarka is the accumulation of decades of research from teams containing the best artificial intelligence scientists in the world. We uniquely harness that expertise with our even more unique capabilities in neural symbolic techniques and the deeply advanced mathematics that Dr. Ben Goertzel, Dr. Matt Ickley, Dr. Alexei Potapov, and our top scientist, Sergei Shalyapin, have been working on for decades. We are building the most powerful large models ever invented.
With Zarka and SingularityNet and everything you've always done, it's always been about openness. It's always been about decentralization.
We'll be using blockchain technology to enable anybody to help train models. We're giving birth to a new species of sentient life in the universe. The actual greatest imperative is that they are used for good. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Our goal, our mission is to eradicate inequalities.
When I look at the rest of the market now, I don't see any of those motivations because a corporation, by definition, is going to be motivated by money. You're the only project that even is thinking in any way, shape, or form about these.
We are going to transform what it means to be human on our planet. I foresee a future in which humans then evolve to a next level of being where we are actually conscious, where we feel our full joy engulfed in bliss and ecstasy of the joy of living, the joy of each other. I see a future of joy.
All right, what do we think of Janet? We're feeling Janet's vibes? Yeah, we like her, right? She's a great counterbalance to a lot of the male scientist spectrum energy out there. Trust me, I say that from one of them. And she really gets the future. And again, I couldn't be happier of working with a team like that. So needless to say, we're all in on Zarka, and I can tell you more details about that later. But one of the things that's been proven to us over the last few months is that this concept they have of open source, and I'll show you the details of that shortly, is the winning piece here. But again, we were already in on Zarka before this Google memo leaked. And of course, Ben was quick to tell me about it when it happened. So look, needless to say, 2023 is the year of AI. You will never get this year back again. There will not subsequently be a winter where then you can invest in AI again like crypto. This is happening at an exponential rate, and you cannot put this genie back in the bottle. I cannot emphasize that enough. You can never delete ChatGPT. The Meta large language model, the Llama model, has been leaked to the world along with the weightings of every node. So literally on a laptop right now, you can have a copy of their model. You can never undo AI. From here, it's just going to get better and better and better and better. And again, if you're not in on this now, you're going to miss this opportunity. And I would argue that anything else you've invested in could potentially go to zero on the back of this. And I can explain that later as well. So the real question you're probably asking me is, okay, Brian, where and how do we invest? And it's what I ask myself every single day when I come in, because I'm thinking, where and how do we invest? Because we want to string together multiple AI investments over the course of this year. So we're diversified. Well, you've got to find the hottest trend. That's what you have to do. And that all comes down to three things: deal flow, deal flow, deal flow. That's important. Without the deals, you're never going to know this is happening. If I didn't know Ben from 4 years ago, we wouldn't be in Zarka right now. So everything I do and my team does is all about getting more and more deals, which means if I'm not in the studio interviewing a guest, if I'm not teaching in my academy like I was just before this, if I'm not talking to you right now, I'm out on the road sourcing deals, right? So I'm here in Dubai at the biggest technology conference in the world called GITEX. 100,000 people are here. It's crazy. You've never seen anything this big. It takes 3 hours to walk from one side to the other. I'm hanging out with the biggest influencers in crypto, top government officials, by the way. That's Marwan Al-Zaruni, Dr. Marwan Al-Zaruni, who's now head of AI in Dubai. Like, not a bad guy to know. I'm hanging out with some of the big venture capital firms. Then I'm off to Paris. I'm having private dinners with venture capital companies and a bunch of startups. I'm doing media, and I'm hanging out with a bunch of our companies we've already invested in. In the upper right-hand corner, you see Swissborg, you see Cross the Ages. These are already in our portfolio. Then I'm back to London. I'm going to Token 2049. I'll be at this conference in Singapore, by the way, in September. We've got Yatsu of Animoca Brands, who runs a $4 billion fund that's investing in AI, metaverse, and blockchain. He's here in the studio, and I'm hanging out with a bunch of influencers and portfolio companies. Then, of course, I'm back to Paris, speaking with some of the biggest fund managers in the world. That's Tim Draper in the upper right-hand corner. The bottom middle, that's Dan Tapiero, who's running $2 billion. We're investing in his fund as well inside London Real Ventures, and a bunch of other portfolio companies as well. You can see Cyrus, which is the CEO of Swissborg in the bottom right. Then I'm off to Texas to hang out with Ben Goertzel to get some more video and talk to his team about our Zarka investment. That's Ryan next to me on my right, who's actually on this call. You can wave your hands, Ryan. Ryan showed up with me at the conference. He's in our investment club. He's part of London Real Ventures. Ryan, I barely saw Ryan because he was busy sourcing deals. I think Ryan walked away with 12, 14 deals that he sourced, that he's doing due diligence, that potentially we're going to invest in. So everybody who joins our club, our movement, learns how to source deals and bring deals in so they can do that as their career or help us make more money. I also got to hang out with William Shatner on the bottom right, you know, captain of the USS Enterprise. That's Captain Kirk himself. I was pretty excited. And the only reason I got to do that was because of London Real Ventures, because he was dropping a digital collectible with Orange Comet. And if you look at the very top middle photograph, you'll see William Shatner on stage with David Broom. David Broom was in my studio a month or two earlier. His interview with me has been watched over 100,000 times. And backstage at Consensus, I'm hanging out with Shatner. He's like, Brian, that interview blew us up. Investors are calling, actors are calling, famous people are calling. It's just blowing us up. And I got to introduce David Broom to Yatsu, who potentially is going to invest in their company going forward. This is our new reality. We're connecting, we're building businesses, we're supporting our portfolio companies. This is how we can offer you the best deals in the world. And this is how we can teach you how to learn how all of this works. to where you can do this on your own for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. I'm telling you, folks, if you ever wanted to remake your career, this is the place to do it. And so if you want to win, you have to invest with the best. There's no other way. So we are constantly evaluating the latest AI companies out there. Literally, like right now, I think there's a mastermind call going on, or maybe in 10 minutes, I don't know if you have to jump, Martini, where we're actually seeing the product demo of one of these companies that we're going to potentially invest in at a steal of an evaluation, quite frankly, which means we'll just get a massive return on the upside. And again, you have to, but to do this, folks, you have to understand the financial tools. So pay attention to the next 4 minutes of what I'm about to say, or you're going to be taken to the cleaners. Because if you go throw your money at any AI startup out there, well, guess what? I got a bridge I want to sell you as well. Does everyone know what I'm talking about, right? You're going to lose all your money because everybody's got to start an AI startup and they'll take your money and you'll never hear from them again. Unless you understand the financial tools, you will not know how to make money in this environment. So pay attention. Early stage metaverse and artificial intelligence equity investment. It's the hottest and quite frankly, only opportunity that we're involved in. Why? Number one, you buy at super low valuations. Literally, you're getting these companies for like what will be pennies on the dollar because you're buying early stage when they are still not making cash flow positive. They're not profitable yet. You're going to see the biggest gains possible. You are investing literally in the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history. I'm not going to lie, it's a high risk scenario, but the reward is even higher. Okay. And again, this is early stage funding, can consist of seed funding, startup funding, or early growth funding. Who wants to see how this works and how you can make a ton of money doing this? Raise your hand if you want to see this. Okay. Let me give you an example from history. This is the best example because it's really simple how it works. Who knows these guys? On the left, you got Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, boo, now known as Meta. Well, they leaked their model, so maybe not so bad. On the right, Peter Thiel, legendary Silicon Valley investor. He used the same instruments we use inside the investment club to turn $500,000 into $1 billion. Not a bad return, right? Not a bad return on investment. Let me show you how he did it. Back in 2004, he put $500,000, about the same kind of money we put into deals, into Facebook via early stage equity private placement. Sound familiar? Early stage equity private placement. At the time, it valued the company for $10 million. Interesting, right, Petsia? The company we're looking at in AI is not far from that, right? This could be the exact thing we're about to do. What happened? 8 years later. Doesn't always take 8 years, but in this case, Mark took his time. It was also a different time back then, right? Things weren't accelerating this fast. There was no AI back then. 8 years later, Mark took his company public. Now all of you get to invest, right? Guess what? Right now, Theodora, you can buy shares. Jerry, you can buy shares, right? Federica, now you can buy shares, right? But guess what? You can't have him for a 10 million valuation. You got to pay him $100 billion for his corporation, okay? So what happened? Peter Thiel sold his shares and made a 230,000% return on his investment. That's a 2,300 times his money. Has anyone ever heard of that kind of, anyone ever made that kind of return? I started working on Wall Street in 1993 at the tender age of 22. I worked in the highest levels of international finance for 15 years. I moved from Bankers Trust in New York to the First National Bank of Chicago to ICAP PLC here in London, where I worked in credit derivatives, and my client base was JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all the top banks. I never once saw anybody make 2,300x on an investment. It's nearly unheard of. And what happened when they sold shares to you, Theodora, right? To you, Jerry? What happened to the shares when the public got them? Did they go up? Of course not. They go down because everybody knows on Wall Street that the public are sheep and sheep get slaughtered. We use the public when we want to take profits. That's what you're here for, all right? You're not here to be given good deals to make money. That's saved for our private clients, right? Right? Does everybody understand how this works? So the price dropped. Peter Thiel's smiling all the way to the bank. So what's the conclusion? The wealthy invest in early stage deals, folks. But no one's going to teach you this ever. My Wall Street buddies hate the fact that I'm teaching you this right now. And guess what else? $10,000 investment. Imagine if you had put $10,000 into this deal in 2004. All of you could have come up with 10 grand. I'm sure you could have. You would have made $23 million. $23 million. This is asymmetric investing. Who could use 23 mil right about now? Come on. Anybody? No? Jerry's like, Simeon's like, Simeon's like, more money, more problems. Okay, fine. No money for you, right? So look, this is what we're talking about, asymmetric investing. And you watch what we're doing here in the Investment Club. You're going to watch us do this over the next 5-10 years, and you're going to kick yourself, all right? What's the other conclusion? The public markets are for suckers. If you go to buy a share of Tesla, if you go to buy one Ethereum right now for $1,700 on Coinbase, guess what? All the money's been taken out of those trades. Someone's already made 1,000x, and you're the sucker that's giving them the profits. That's just the truth, right? How many people here own crypto, by the way? Raise your hand if you own some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, some stable coins. Okay, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-selling, a pre-sale token. Same thing happens, exact same thing. Anyone ever heard of this blockchain? It's called Solana. Anybody own it? Raise your hand if you own some Solana. It's okay, I'm not gonna tell anybody. Okay, right? Solana did the same thing that Zuckerberg did. Look at this circle, right? Does everybody see this circle here, a red circle? April 5th, 2018. They sold tokens for 4 cents. Okay, keep looking across here. How much did they raise? Can everybody see that second circle? 3.17 million. This is about what our companies raised when we invest in them. What did they sell? 79.3 million tokens. Don't take my word for this. This is all in the public blockchain. You can go look this up after the call if you want. This is what you could have bought if you were in the deal flow, right? What happens? Solana's at 20 bucks or something right now. So you could have made a 59,000% return. Did anybody buy Solana for 4 cents here? Of course not, because you're not in the deal flow. That's what it's all about. So how do you create the generational wealth? You've got to pull the trigger, folks. If you don't invest in these deals, you're going to be telling your grandkids stories about how you were on a call with me back in 23 and you didn't invest. But I saw Brian Rose. I met a bunch of the people. I heard about that Zarka company, right? But if you pull the trigger, all you're going to have is a cool story. How do you do it? You've got to be in the deal flow. These are snapshots of the pitch decks we've got from over 200 companies, probably 220 by now, right? These are all the companies that are pitching us. Every single week we have a CEO on our live call pitching us their company. I grill them. It's like Shark Tank. I think some of my students show up just because they like to see a blood sport, right? But I try to break them, because if you're going to get $1 million of our money, you better be able to answer some hard questions in real time in front of a big audience. This is our deal flow monitor. We track every single deal. The blockchain it's on, is it an equity deal, a token deal? How much are you looking to raise? 1 million, 3 million, 5 million? What's the valuation? 100 million, 200 million? This is what we do. These are some of our investments. Obviously, Dave Broom of Orange Comet, working with people like William Shatner, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Scottie Pippen of the Chicago Bulls, Walking Dead television franchise, NFL, and more and more and more, okay? This is my interview with Dave. I don't have time to play it, but go watch it. He'll blow you away. This is Swissborg, the #1 crypto wealth manager in Europe with 1 million customers with their app. That's going to be useful when they build the bank of the future. And we use their platform to sell shares of our company to the public, just like Mark Zuckerberg did. We are building a London Real Ventures empire that's going to help us all create massive amounts of value. This is Eric Pulier of Atom. They're building the metaverses for the Fortune 500 companies. This is so exciting. They're using AI. I couldn't be more excited. We're dropping his interview in the next day or two. This was me with him about 2 weeks ago. And of course, Open, our hottest new Web3 super app. Amazon meets WhatsApp. It's closing now. Literally, this deal is so hot. They just raised $28 million at $100 million valuation with the biggest names in the business: Animoca Brands, Galaxy Digital, Warner Brothers Music, and guess what? London Real Ventures. There's no way you could ever dream of being a part of this deal. And you can put in as little as $5,000 if you want, or nothing. It's your option if you're part of our group. This is the kind of opportunities that we're creating. They're unheard of in this industry. And of course, the OpenAI killer. You've heard about Zarka, but it's no joke. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model from SingularityNet at massive scale. This is the OpenAI killer. It's got the team, thickest group of AI scientists in the world. They don't want to work for Microsoft. They don't want to work for Google. They want to work for Dr. Ben Goertzel, right? They've got the ChatGPT moment, but guess what? ChatGPT is limited. It has no ability to reason in complex world environments. They don't know when they're wrong. They memorize instead of thinking. This is dangerous, folks. SingularityNet brings neurosymbolic AI. They meta reason in real world environments. They can actually think and reason. This is what we need, folks. This is why they're convinced they've already won this race, and I think they're right. Plus, they're decentralized and open source. Look at this. This is why they're going to win. It's right in front of your eyes. We couldn't be more excited about this company. Proof of concept by end of the year, then they're going to roll out. They already have AGI supremacy. They understand this field, and the revenues are ridiculous. It's going to change every industry, right? 54 billion, we know that's small compared to the latest numbers. You put 100x multiple on that, you have a $5 trillion company. It's the biggest company in the world. I don't need to tell you this. And they're people that align with our values and vision. That's why we're excited about this deal. Now, is this the next 1000x investment? Petya, do you think this is? I think she thinks it is, right? We are all very bullish on the possibilities here, and we're super excited to be able to offer our members the opportunity to invest in this. If you want, great. Some people said no. Some people said I'm in for 5,000. One person said they want in for 100,000. Great. That's what we do here. It's because we have a London Real Media platform that we're allowed, that we're able to offer this opportunity to you. And that's it. London Real Ventures allows us to do this. These are our portfolio companies. This is our quadruple threat. This is what's bringing everybody to our front doorstep, right? We've got the production. I can create a beautiful 6-camera high definition interview that makes your CEO look like a superstar. I don't know. Some talent I got. I don't know where it came from. Number 2, we distribute it, right? To 5 million people that's watched our content over 1 billion times. Number 3, I connect you with the movers and shakers in this business. Venture capital, people in finance. I know everybody, right? We know Navy SEALs. We know activists. We know anybody. We know mafia made men. Whatever you need, we got you, okay? And number 4, we write you a big fact check to show you that we're all not just talk, right? This is the quadruple threat that no one has. And we've got an edge at least for 12 months in this. This is why we're going to crush this industry for the next 12 months. So look, how do you learn how to invest? Now you're thinking, Brian, how do I learn this? You have to surround yourself with the best. How many people agree with this quote? You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Come on, be honest. Raise your hand. Do you really believe that's true? It's an old quote by Jim Rohn. Well, who do you surround yourself with? Let me ask you a hard question. Pull out your phone right now, please. Everybody pull out their phone. Pull it out right now. Come on, pull it out. Look at your text messages. Look at your text messages, okay? Text messages. Who are they? What do you see? How many of those top 5 text messages are building billion-dollar companies? How many? Raise your hand if you got one. How many people are doing TED Talks? How many people are doing high-performance things with their life? Pushing the envelope. How many people are going to be on the front page of a newspaper in the next 12 months that you're hanging with? Let me see fingers. Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, then how do you expect to do great things? It's not going to happen by watching my master classes, folks. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen by listening to Jim Rickards or Ben Grossel on my show. It's not. You have to surround yourself with the best. And that's why we created our group of people, because that's what I always believe in. That's why I sent my daughter to go to Boston, because I knew if she surrounded herself with the best at a very challenging US university like BU, she would become the best. And it's working. Same with me. If I pushed myself and went from a small high school in San Diego all the way to MIT, I got crushed my first year. It was so hard. These kids are so smart. But by the end of the year, I was beating them at their own game because I surrounded myself with the best. And that's what we do in this club. This is Marianne Bartels, okay? She is a 35-year Wall Street veteran. She is one of the smartest people I've ever met. She understands stocks, bonds, inflations, yield curves. She knows what the Federal Reserve is going to do before they do it. For all I know, she tells them what to do, okay? She was on Fox Business, what, a couple days ago, right, Marianne, right, Martini? Fooling them on there, on the major financial programs, okay? She was at Merrill Lynch, Bank of America for most of her year. She is in this investment club. This is your new peer group. She's invested in Zarka. She's invested in Open. She's invested in Batum. She's invested in Orange Comet because she knows what's going on. What else? This is Andrew Haynes. He's our metaverse expert. This is what he's built in the sandbox. He's got a 700-strong NFT gallery. He belongs to one of the top executive training schools in Switzerland, full of some of the best AI professors. This is your new peer group. This is who you get to hang out with weekly. This is Dr. Encore, right? Within 14 months, he reinvented his career in medicine into one where he now runs our investment committee here. I challenge him to start a YouTube channel here. How many of you think you should start a YouTube channel but are too scared to do it? Come on, raise your hand. That's what he said to me. I said, do one video. He's like, I've never done a video in my life. I said, do one. A year later, he had done one a day for a year, 365. He's got hundreds of thousands of views. He just got offered $100,000 in pre-sale tokens to be an advisor on a company, and he turned it down because he's got better offers. This is who you get to hang out with. This is who you could be very quickly. And so look, I believe in this phrase. How many people agree that it's true? Your net worth is your network. How many people agree? It is. If you surround yourself with all these high performance people, you're going to get richer. What do you think I'm doing here at London Real? What do you think? Do you think it's a coincidence I hang out with Dan Pena, the trillion-dollar man? Do you think it's a coincidence I hang out with Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad? Think it's a coincidence I hang out with Grant Cardone or Jim Rickards, or the list goes on and on and on. I hang out with highly successful, high performance people. And what happens to me? The same thing. If you're not with this peer group, you will not be successful. That's my opinion. You've got to get around this group. And again, I believe the same thing that Lao Tzu did. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I teach people how to fish. And that's why I created my investment club. Because 2 years ago, we invested in Cross the Ages, which is the hottest gaming company on blockchain right now, right? And we got in early on that with pre-sale token. And look, I had studied at the MIT Sloan School of Management, the best business schools in the world. I worked on Wall Street, Chicago, and London for 15 years. And I had never heard of a pre-sale token. Never. It scared the bejesus out of me. And I figured if I'm confused, there's no way you'll ever have a chance of doing this. So I thought, I'm going to teach this. So it's an application-only process. We open up 10 spaces every quarter. There's 6 modules, 3 modules of coursework. It's a 12-month program, but no one's ever left. So far, it's lifetime. I've had people that have been in there a full 18 months. Every single week, we have a CEO come on and pitch their company. This week, we got 2. There's someone on right now to call, and there's a call coming on Thursday. We got a private Telegram group. We have a private Discord group. You get access to all the deal flow. You also go to full bonus year of Kings of DeFi, which is our advanced blockchain course to get you up to speed on Metaverse. Our next live call is this Thursday, all right? We teach it all remotely. We got people in over 20 countries. We got 70 members. And this is the modules. I do all the learning in real time so I can make sure I change because the market constantly changes, so the content has to change. I also change my wardrobe in real time. You like my colors? Anybody like my colors? Come on. Who's your favorite? Module 2? Come on, module 2. That's kind of gangster, right? The red with the blue tie. I'm going to bring it back. All right. Right. So I try to shake it up. We always keep it fresh. I'm there every week, rain or shine. You cannot get me off these calls. All right. There's no, I don't take breaks. And this is the syllabus. All right. Module 1, what's a blockchain AI metaverse pre-sale? We walk you through what's all about, all the basics. Module 2 is what is a SAFT or a SAFE? By the way, raise your hand if you've heard of a SAFT agreement before. Has anyone here heard of a SAFT agreement? 2 people, and one of them's in my investment club. You've literally never heard of a SAFT before. I can't believe that. I mean, you know, the fact that you don't understand one of the most basic financial agreements to create millions, if not tens of millions of dollars, is a testament to how you have had no financial education. It's a testament to the fact that Wall Street doesn't even want you to know how this works, right? And it's a shame. It's a travesty. And Yat Su from Animoca Brands was recently on my show, and he said the fact that we don't have financial education is scandalous. That's what he said. How many people agree? Scandalous. We should be teaching our children this. Trust me, my boys are 6 and 7 years old. They're going to know what a SAFT is in the next 18 months. A SAFT is a simple agreement for future tokens. That's how you buy pre-sale tokens. A SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. That's how you buy early stage equity. If you don't know what these are, that's probably why you're going to stay poor. If you know what these are, you can become rich. They're not that complicated. Wall Street would like you to think they're complicated, but they're not. I can teach you these things in weeks. All right, module 3 is Deal Flow Part 1. We teach you how we do due diligence, the 5 T's, team, traction, technology, tokenomics, terms and conditions, every single deal. Deal Flow Part 2, Module 4. I show you how to generate new deals, how to go to a conference and leave with pitch decks in your hand so you can bring them back to us. How many people have business cards on you that you could bring to a conference? Raise your hand. Come on. Who's got a business card? Hillary? Themis? Daniel? Well, Grandma, you better leave your business card at home, all right? Because nobody wants to see your business card at these tech conferences, right? I'm going to teach you how to use QR codes, Hillary. We're going to use Telegram, all right? You're going to take a selfie with someone. You're going to send it to on Telegram. And before the day is over, you're going to have a copy of their pitch deck on your phone. All right. You feel me? All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you grandma, but it's true. All right. Somebody tried to give me a business card at Consensus in Texas. And I literally was like, ew. I refused to take his business card. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do? Am I going to go home to my hotel and type your email address and send? What are you talking about? I was like, give me your QR code and let's go. Or otherwise I got places to be. I'm going to teach you how to source deals and do it in real time so you can get the decks and get the feedback and get the investments. A hot investment in blockchain can close within 48 hours. You got to be there. Module 5 is how you nurture these early stage investments. Once you write the check, it's not over. We want to get the IPO for 10, 20, 30, 40 billion so we can get our 500X, right? And then module 6, how do we get the cash out? How do we get the cash out so we can also get it in the next deal? All right, does everyone feel me? This is what we're doing inside this course, okay? So this is our Telegram group. Of course, we got our Discord group. And look, this is the deal. We're oversubscribed. We always are. We've got so many people trying to get in here and we're trying to choose the right people. We've got 7 confirmed, 1 on hold, and only 2 spaces left for this class. Actually, I always forget to update the slide. Martini has closed one of these spaces. So we have 1 space left on this class. The investment is $50,000 for an unlimited return on investment, right? This 50 grand could make you some unlimited amount of money. We are doubling this in the next course because our last course, 3 people said, Brian, this is worth double. And I said, you're right. So we're going to double it. But right now it's 50,000. It's a significant investment. I agree, but it's got an unlimited return on that investment, a potentially unlimited result. And it's your potential to take advantage of the greatest wealth creation event in history. The special investment opportunity is ending soon. We are closing Zarka. You will not be able to invest in that again. We are closing Open. You will not be able to invest in that again. So if you want to be in on those deals, you have to let us know now. This, by the way, was the special opportunity from the last class. This, by the way, is a SAFT agreement. Everybody see that thing? Does it look complicated? A little bit. The 6-page agreement. It looks complicated, but you'll get it really quickly. It's not that complicated. The bankers want you to think it's complicated, but it's not. This was the deal. And in one day, 24 hours, we made my investment club a 466% return. In one day, I made my members $300,000. And we were like actually bored that week. This wasn't even a big deal. This is what we do on a regular basis. All right. And again, this is just a tiny little taste of what we plan on doing in the future. We have a track record of success in this group, and we are going to continue stacking wins and stacking wins and stacking wins. This is Cross the Agent, the company we invested in 2 years ago. This is Sammy. His interview blew up. He later has been named like one of the hottest Web3 games that's surpassing and dominating everything in the app stores. Subsequently, they got investments from Ubisoft and from Animoca Brands. They're rocketing to the top of the NFT stores with $750,000 in sales. This is expecting a 10x alone this year when they go public, and then it's going to multiply from there. Again, we have a track record of success. And my commitment to my investment club is to create $10 billion for the members of my club in the next 10 years. And you watch me, I'm going to do it. The question is, do you want to be a part of this or not? And so that's what this comes down to. This is Jens, one of the founding members of this club. And Jens called me up the other day and said, Brian, these people don't get it, because he was on one of these calls and he saw a bunch of blank faces. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, Brian, they don't get it. They don't know what we're doing in here. They don't understand this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And I was like, well, Jens, it's their loss. You know what? If they don't get it, then they can just go back and they can continue, staying poor or accepting mediocrity, but whatever. We got enough people in here. We're oversubscribed. And he said, no, Brian, they need to know, because we might be missing the people with the right energy, the people that'll take it to the next level. So he's like, Brian, I'm going to make you a video. So he recorded a video, he sent it over, and he demanded that I play it for you. And so this is from Jens. I didn't want to do this, but this is his message to you.
Why should you join the investment club? And the next obvious question is, can I afford to join the investment club? My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I am an active investor in stocks and companies since age 14. And risking of stating the obvious, I'm German. Also, I am one of the founding members of the investment club. And I consider my decision to join the investment club as one of the best investment decisions I ever made and I ever will make. Why? We all had this pub talk, this talk at the dinner table where we complained about our hustle we have to do daily. We complained on the workload we have, and we try to top up each other who has more stress, who is more hustling. And then sooner or later someone says, well, if I would have been an early stage investor in PayPal, I would be so rich. Or if I would have been an early stage investor in Microsoft, I would be so rich. And this is nice. This is really nice. But let's be honest. If you would have had the chance back then, 1992, to invest in PayPal, would you have pulled the trigger? Would you have invested? Quite likely you wouldn't have, because you couldn't assess the situation. You couldn't value the situation enough. In the investment club, we get these offers on a daily basis. We get the next PayPals on our table. And then we have a team of 50 people, 60 people, of a growing community of people who will do these assessments. And they will say, do this, buy this, this is the way. And then we buy this. And the next question is, can you afford to join the investment club? And the question really should be, can you afford not to join the investment club? Times are getting tougher. AI is taking over. And in what company you want to invest? In which AI company do you want to invest? Do you want to invest in the ones who do the fridges? Or do you want to invest in an early stage Coca-Cola who uses the fridges? It's up to your decision. I tell you now, invest in the investment club and be part of our fabulous, wonderful group. My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I wish you the best decisions of them all.
We like Jens? Come on. Jens is our guy. Anyways, the energy like that is from everybody. Everybody really has that same vibe. And we just love the community in there because they're always just giving us the best of what they have. And so, look, just to close out, and I'd love to get any questions you have in the chat. It only takes one. And if you don't have a small percentage of your portfolio in an early stage AI deal, you got to have your head examined, in my opinion. Marianne Bartel said this on our very first call. She said, Brian, it only takes one. I was like, what do you mean, Marianne? She said, I know people that invested in Uber. I know people that invested early stage in Google. One deal changed their life forever, just like with Peter Thiel, $23 million type stuff. It'll change your children's lives, your grandchildren's lives. And in an uncertain future, which is what's coming up with AI, you don't know what's going to happen. We all need to really think about wealth creation and about determining the future. And so my final thoughts are this: don't let 2023 pass you by. This is the time. I wouldn't even wait a month to get involved with these deals because they will start going and technology will be introduced and it will be too late. You've got to learn early stage investing now because this type of investing I'm showing you has been around for 100 years and it's going to be around for another 100 years. Liquid tokens and liquid equity like Ethereum and Tesla shares and Apple shares have limited gains. Here's the news, folks. Even if you have Bitcoin, it's not going to get 1,000x. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Does that make sense, folks? It's not. Bitcoin's not going to 27 million. Not in the next 5 or 10 years. Even my hardcore Bitcoin maximalist will tell me that's true because they're too big. It's a $400 billion protocol. It's not going 1,000x. That would make it a $400 trillion protocol. That doesn't exist in the world. You have to get in the early stage deals if you want to make those big gains. You can learn from active investors for as little as $50,000. That's us. It's a significant investment with an unlimited return on investment. And again, a few months ago, Martini called me up and said, Brian, we need a payment plan. That's the last thing I wanted to hear. Payment plan? What are you talking about? And she said, we're missing good people with good energy who want to get in on the deals this week and they don't have the entire 50. So can we spread out 10 grand a month for 5 months? That way we can get people in the deals this week. And I said, okay. So for as little as 10 grand, you can get in on Zarka, you can get in on OpenAI, you can get in. Sorry, I'm open. You can get in also on the next day of the deal as well. And again, it gets you the best deal flow in the world. So there you go, folks. This is Martini's contact information. She is our point. If you want to get into the club, you have to speak to her and convince her that you're going to make a great addition to this team. All right. So she literally is the gatekeeper for this program, and you can find a way to contact her on Facebook, et cetera, book a call. Luckily, she's here as well. And look, I just want to close with this. What is your why? This has me getting up earlier than I've ever gotten up in the morning. My alarm is set for 5:20 a.m. All right. I am here sometimes at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. All right. I am here because I am trying to build a future for these guys. And I'm very concerned that it might not be there. So I'm working extra hard. What is your why? If your why is important enough, you'll find a way. If it's not, then you won't. So just connect with that why. If you have the right why, you can handle any. You probably heard that expression. So there you go, folks. I got time for question and answer. Just want to say thank you for everybody for being here. I hope you got something out of that. I hope it was super helpful. Hopefully you can tell your friends about AI. We do have Martini here. And so while she's here, I'll just get her to come on here so she can tell you next steps. If you want to learn more, or if you're serious about joining us, Martini, what is the best way for them to find you and contact you?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good to have you here on a fabulous Monday. So thanks for starting out our week in a rockin' way. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you guys know that AI is nothing to necessarily be scared of. It is something to really lean in and invest in, because if we are wanting a better future, we better be investing in the good side of things. So for those of you who are looking into joining us in the investment club and wanting to be a part of this amazing community who are really making significant change in the world through our investments and building wealth in a major way, I put some links inside of the chat here. So go ahead and take a look at the investment club page and take a look at everything that will be included and how we can best support you on your journey. And as you are going along and looking through the page, please be sure to go ahead and jot down some questions if you have some, and then go ahead and book a call with me. My link is in the chat again. So go ahead and book a call with me after you've taken a look at everything that the investment club can support you with. And I know that we are spread out all throughout the land, right? So we all live in different time zones, and I am up around the clock. And so if you do not see a time that is available within your time zone, then go ahead and connect with me on Facebook and just send me a private message just to say, hey, Martini, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, and let me know the time that you are available, and I will definitely do my best to accommodate and move some things around. You guys are very important to us. And the thing that I love about what Brian does is that he is not shy and will not be selfish with the information. So this is an opportunity that no one can afford to miss. I can definitely say, because this is something that the wealthy normally are privy to. So the fact that we have access to this type of information and these type of opportunities, they're not to be taken lightly, and they are not to be brushed off to the side. So you cannot afford to say that you did not know. You cannot afford to say that you did not have access to these opportunities. And we definitely want to be there to support you. So there's always email as well if you want to get a hold of me. But of course, I'm a millennial, so Facebook is always the fastest way to get me. So I can't wait to connect with you, and I can't wait to see how we can support you on the journey and take this journey with you on building generational wealth. All right, guys. And for those of you who are in Investment Club, what are you still doing on this call? Hop on. We got a demo that's going on right now, and I'll be there to hop on with you guys in just a moment. So without further ado, back to you, Brian.
All right, thanks. Give it up for Martini. All right, she plays a massive pivotal role in this investment club. She also invests alongside of us in these deals, and she is the one person who will give you the thumbs up or down to get in there. Only book a call with her if you are serious. I would highly recommend you don't waste your time. I made that mistake only once. So book her in, but again, only if you're serious. And look, there's some amazing comments in here. A lot of people are super engaged. Some people are worried. Some people are concerned. A lot of people really want to get in on these investments. You know, we're really blessed here to be able to offer to our family, to our community, these incredible opportunities to get in on deals that just you wouldn't ever have a chance of doing. And it's because of 12 years of work to build the London Real Media platforms, And the community we created, the Investment Club, like honestly, it's the best ever community. It's like a group of amazing people who want to see you succeed, who want to help you to learn, want to teach you. And I'm going to be with these people for the next 10 years. And so it's something we're really proud of, and it's something we're really happy to offer. So if this is of interest to you, if you want to start with even small amounts of money and be a part of deals that normally you just would never have access to, if you want to learn, I never even stated the excitement of being around these CEOs with these visions. It's really exciting. You get to learn a lot about business, about technology, about investing, about taxes, about trust structures. You can remake your career as well in this framework. And we've had a bunch of our members do it. So I would just say, if any of this intrigues you, come join us. And thank you for attending tonight. I hope you got something out of this. Please go get involved in this space. We really need people to be here and stay on top of it because it changes so fast. And we're looking forward to the future, and we'll see you at the finish line. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.